All right, today we are going to be talking about relating decimals, fractions, and percent. Our objective is to compare and order decimals, fractions, and percents. We do have one vocabulary word today, which is percent, which is a ratio comparing a number to 100. Okay, anytime if you want to write a percent as a fraction, it would always be over 100. All right, let's take a look at our table here. And it gives you your ratio, which remember is a numbers comparison by division. So the first one right here, 3/10. Okay, an equivalent ratio with a denominator of 100 is how we would convert that to a percent, or one way we could convert that to a percent, especially if our denominator goes into 100 evenly. For this one, 3/10, we simply said, well, we noticed that 10 times 10 is 100, so 3 times 10 gives us 30. Okay, so we know our percent's going to be 30%. It's that simple. Okay, 1/2, we know that 50 times 2 is 100, so 1 times 50 is 50, which gives us 50%. And finally, we know that 4 times 25 and 3 times 25, 4 times 25 is 100, 3 times 25 gives me 75. So I know that that is 75%. Okay, that's one way to find, to convert a fraction into a percent. Okay. We could also convert a fraction to a decimal and then convert that decimal to a percent by using division. Okay. If you notice 1/8 right here, we could always take our 1/8 and divide up. Okay, so we'd have 1 divided by 8. We'd have to add our decimal and a couple zeros there. And then we divide like we normally would. Okay, bring our decimal up. 8 goes into 10 one time. Left over 2. 0 goes in there 2 times. We get 16, which you can't even hardly see this now. But we get 4, and then 8 goes into 40 5 times. That's how we get 0.125. Now, when we get 0.125, we could use our Dr. Pepper rule. I know, it's super exciting, right? Remember, your initials for Dr. Pepper are DP, okay, which that tells us how we're going to go from decimals to percents, okay? If we want to go from a decimal to a percent, we have to move my decimal 2 places to the right. If I want to go from a percent to a decimal, I have to move my decimal 2 places to the left. So, once I have my 0.125 here, to convert that to a percent, I can simply move my decimal over 2 places to the right, 1, 2, which gives me 12.5%, which is the same thing as multiplying times 100, which is what they're showing you right here. Okay? I don't know if I'd call it multiplication mumbo jumbo, but yes, anytime, you guys know, anytime you multiply a number times 100, you're just moving your decimal over 2 places, you know, because you have 2 zeros in the number. Anytime you multiply it times 10, you're moving the decimal 1 place over because you have 1 0. The same way with division. If you were to divide it by 100, you'd move the decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, but that's what our Dr. Pepper rule is. All right, let's take a look at our last slide here. It says find an equivalent value for each. Okay, so the first thing it wants us to do is write 3/8 as a percent. Now, 8 doesn't go into 100 nice and evenly, so I'm not going to be able to figure out what times 8 equals 100. I'm going to have to divide up. Okay, so I'll have to do my 3/8 divide up, which is going to give me, let's see, we'll divide 3 inside our division box, 8 on the outside. I'll add a decimal and a couple of zeros. We might need more, we might not. How many times does 8 go into 30? 3, which gives us 24. Leftover of 6, drop down my 0. How many times does 8 go into 60? Okay. 7, which gives me 56. Leftover 4. I'll add another 0. Yeah, 8 goes into 45 times, which gives me 40. So, I'm not done yet. That's my decimal. Is 0.375. But now I have to move that decimal. Remember our Dr. Pepper rule, we're going to have to move my decimal, since I'm going from a decimal to a percent, I have to move my decimal 2 places to the right, so I'll go 1, 2, which is going to give me 37.5%. Easy enough. All right, number 2 says write 20% as a fraction. Anytime, what is a percent a comparison to? Yeah, to 100. So if we want to make 20 into a fraction, we simply have to put 20 over 100. Anytime you want to convert a percent into a fraction, you put it over 100. That's what your percent means, is 100. Okay, so if we simplified that, what is that going to become? Yeah. All right. The next one, 5/8. This one, it wants us to write this as a decimal, so we pretty much have to do the same thing that we did on number 1, with one small exception. We don't have to move our decimal this time because it's not asking us for a percent, but we have to divide up. So if we have 5/8, we'll divide up on that. So we'll have 5 divided by 8. I'll add my decimal and a couple of zeros. How many times does 8 go into 50? Which gives me 48. Left over 2, drop down my 0. How many times does 8 go into 20? 2, which gives me 16. Left over 4. Yep. Yeah, so that's going to give me 0.625 as my answer. Or they ask you to convert that to a decimal? Well, if you needed to do that, you'd put that 5 over 1,000. All right, so let's take a look at number 4. Now, on number 4, we're going to have to either convert 30% to a fraction, or we're going to have to convert 7 over 11 to a percent. Okay? I am going to convert 30% into a fraction, because what do we have to put 30 over?
100.
Yeah, over 100, right? So I'm just going to put 30 over 100. Well, what does that simplify to? Yeah, we could do that to 3/10. Okay? Which, yeah, from here we can cross multiply if you'd like. Which 7 times 10 is 70. 11 times 3 is 33. Obviously, our alligator's going to eat that, but you could probably also tell that, 7 over 11, that's bigger than half. 3 over 10, that's smaller than half, so, we could also take a look at it like that. All right, let's take a look at number 5. It says 0.650 and 97%. Well, the easiest way on this one would simply be to convert this decimal right here to a percent. To do that, all we have to do is move my decimal over. Well, if we move my decimal over 2 places, we get 65%. Well, which one is bigger, 65% or 97%? I don't know. But that's all there is to it. Okay? It's not that difficult. Easier than yesterday's, I think. All right. Get to work.